What is going on, guys? We are here with another Overprime guide. How is everyone doing today? We are here going over Crunch himself. He's a really fun, versatile combo character. I was pretty excited for him to come out. He has a lot of mechanics to him, kind of, more so memorization. He's a very combo-heavy character. You do want to take advantage of the things that he can do. And he has a lot of interrupt, and he's a really, really good tank. So that is kind of like a fair note. But yeah, this character just released. He is really, really fun. So I'm making a guide on him and he kind of teach you kind of how he works and basically what you kind of you're looking to do as this character. And this character does a lot of damage. He was probably the most successful release. I definitely enjoy this character quite a bit. I didn't really think that they can mess this character up, but they did him pretty dang well. He feels just like he does in Predecessor. If you guys play the game, he feels the exact same as OG Paragon. They just did a really, really good job at it with him. And the items in the game do they don't really support his playstyle, but he doesn't really need the items to support his playstyle because, again, he's a really good tank. The tanks are broken right now, so you can just kind of build him very, very heavy on defense and still prosper. Now, I will say this character does have a little bit of like a misinterpretation, I guess I could say. He is advertised to have attack speed and is recommended. You don't actually want attack speed, guys. It's kind of a scam. So I know it says to build attack speed, it has a lot of attack speed items it has a decent amount of attack speed items for him. You don't really need attack speed on him. It's not really that good at all. I'd say if you're going to get any attack speed item, just go Spirit's Fang. That's pretty much it. Also, like I said, you want to be tanky. If you're not tanky, you're just going to get blown up and killed in 2 seconds. Trust me, I keep killing crunches because they just keep going full damage. You want to be a tank. This character isn't flying through the battlefield like Zen or anything, so you can't be full damage. You're going to take hits. But yeah, like I said, this character's a lot of fun. I'm excited to go over his kit. He's just, like I said, he's a combo heavy character. So if you guys like spamming a bunch of buttons, honestly, you can pick up this character, press a bunch of buttons, and you're going to be good for your team regardless. As long as you're building correctly, this character is going to be a blast. As I've said before, though, guys, these guides are always made at the current time of recording. They might not be accurate for the build path later on. And if there's a rework, I'll probably re-up the guide, basically. Potentially, depending on how big the rework is. If it's like a whole kit change, we haven't had any of those yet. But if that does happen, I might start doing like reworks for these guides when I get through all the characters. But as of right now, at the time of recording, this is where we're at in terms of the item builds and stuff. So again, take this with a grain of salt when it comes to whatever patch you're on, because we might not be at, in the same stage of the game. But anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Do subscribe and like if you do enjoy the video. Let's get right into Crunch. My boy, I've been enjoying this character a lot. I haven't been playing him as much as I really should, to be honest, because there was a lot of changes with the patch, which I want to go over some of those changes in future videos. But there's a lot of changes in the patch. I mean, they buffed everything, but Crunch himself releasing was also kind of like a power creep. He just feels really good. He's really, really strong ability-wise, which he's supposed to be. So let's go over all of his abilities. First off, he has a basic attack. Again, like I said, he doesn't really need attack speed. You're not going to be basic attacking all the time. The higher level you get, you're not going to be basic attacking as much. Early on, of course, yes, you're going to be basic attacking. He is not a basic character. You do not want to build him basic attack. He's an ability-based character like Zena. You want to be an ability character. That is just, if you're going to build him, you do not build him for attack speed. You build him for ability. I know his passive does help that, but you should, unless you're not building CDR, which you should have it, you should be building CDR, not attack speed. It's CDR over attack speed every day of the week for Crunch. There's no reason why you should be building attack speed over that, because the more CDR you have, you're going to have to auto less, and you're going to be spamming your abilities a lot more. But if you are autoing more, you're losing value on those abilities. Also, he does eat through mana. So I actually really like building Ice Spirit Gloves on him because he needs it. But yep. Anyways, let's go over all of his abilities. Like I said, he's got the basic attack, dealing 123. Nothing special. I'm pretty sure it probably scales to the characters just the same. He might have a lower value, honestly, but his abilities hit so hard it doesn't even matter. His first ability is a swing. So the swing deals 323, or 322 in the tooltip. It's going to be your highest damaging ability. You're going to want to spam this a lot, and it's going to be your first upgrade. It does do quite a bit of damage, and again, it's spammable, so you're going to be hitting the enemy the most with this ability. Your second ability is going to be a stun, a little punch. It does 282 on the tooltip, and it does stun for 0.5 seconds. This is going to be your interrupt skill. You're going to be able to completely interrupt the enemy and kind of like having like a pretty, it's going to be a pretty short cooldown, which we'll go over. Having a pretty short cooldown ability to just keep stunning the enemy is really, really nice, even if it's just for 0.5 seconds. Because again, if you see Darbesh ulting, or if you see like Zena about to be, about to dash, or if you, I don't know, see Twin Blast ulting or something, any character doing something that is like an animation, you can just interrupt it, which is really nice. The next ability is his dash. It's a charge. It stops on the first enemy hero, terrain, or structure hit and deals 243 on the tooltip. Really good ability. It doesn't go that far, but it is really nice. Again, it will stop. It's pretty bad going up or down slopes, so you can stay in the air with it. Let me try and jump. So you do fly in the air. You can make that like little jump when you're in the jungle and you dash from like the buff to the over a ledge. You can do that jump, which is really nice with Crunch. You do go farther with the empowerment, which we'll go over. But then you have your ultimate, which copies the last move you use, which is my dash. So your ultimate literally just repeats the last move used. So if I were to use, my E, you could see on the left, there's a 10-second timer. Oops. You can see on the left over there, there's a 10-second timer for the overheat. Now the timer keeps ticking down. You have to use it in succession. It doesn't re-up itself, basically. So every time you have 10 seconds to cast 3 abilities. Right? That's it. So 10 seconds to cast 3 abilities. It's not, I cast an ability and then it repeats. No, you have to cast an ability and then you have, the remaining time to cast 2 more abilities. So you want a lot of CDR, like I said, because if you don't, you're going to have to be auto-attacking a lot. And if the enemy moves away from you, you're not going to get the empowerment. But yeah, that's basically Crunch's whole kit. Now his whole kit, what the abilities do. Now they do change based on the empowerment effect, which his ultimate has, basically. So, like I said, he has a little bit of a passive where he can reduce the cooldowns. So you auto-attack, and every time you auto-attack, it'll reduce the cooldowns by 0.8 seconds. Now, there is an item in the game that it pairs well with, apparently, Marauder's Watch. I wouldn't recommend building this. I don't think it's good. Just heads up. I think it's a scam. I know they say it's a key item. You're not auto-attacking as much as you think. This item is kind of troll. The stats are not good enough to warrant it. Spirit's Fang will always be better. If you're going to go a damage item, always go Spirit's Fang over this, or Great Sword of the Hurricane, or Omnivamp. These items are way better than Marauder's Watch in any capacity. Just a heads up. I know we're not in the item building section yet, but that's something I need to get out of the way. Do not do that on. I know people are going to be like, but it's so good. It's not. You're not auto-attacking as much as you think, and we'll show you here in a little bit why that's the case. Anyways, 0.8 seconds shaved off of every ability. That also includes your ultimate. So if you ult and then you auto, your ultimate also gets off cooldown. So you can see why this character is extremely heavy on combos. Now, like I said, there is a 10-second window for the empowerment on the left. What the empowerment does, it does change the way your abilities work. So the empowerment for the Crunch Swing is it decreases the enemy's physical defense by 30%. So if I were to right click, stun, and then I press E, it doesn't do any more damage, but it does get wider, and it also decreases their defense by 30%. This ability is going to be your biggest 1v2 tool. You are going to be 1v2ing with this ability a lot. It does an absurd amount of damage. If you're able to do a stun, and then you're able to swing, and then you're able to do another swing with your ultimate, it does an absurd amount of AoE damage. If you're lucky enough to hit the swing on 2 people, that's like 600-700 damage easily as a tank. And then you're going to repeat that shortly after too, while you're fighting, and hopefully get like a couple of stuns in there. And try not to use your overheat dash unless you're trying to interrupt something. But if you can, use your dash to catch up to them. Try not to just use it randomly. You're gonna have to use it to kind of, finesse or catch up to people, basically. So just be careful about that. But yeah, that is the empowerment for the Crunch Swing. Like I said, a defense decrease of 30%. Really good against tanks, and it also increases the range. Really good 1v2 tool. As a tank, you're going to be pretty formidable just being able to spam that ability because it's such a short cooldown. The next ability is going to be an uppercut. He increases damage dealt by 25%, so the damage is increased, and you get an uppercut that lasts for a second. So use 3 abilities. It's an uppercut. It does do more damage than your swing, but also it is launching someone for 1 second, which is really nice. So it's still an interrupt. It's not as required as I thought it was going to be. Like, I feel like back in base Paragon, it was like mandatory, but This ability is really good on its own. I didn't even know it was, I don't remember him having a stun. I guess he did. The stun is really good on its own. So you don't really need to go for this all the time, but if you want to interrupt something, it's really good. And also if you want to deal more burst damage immediately, it's also really good. So there you go. That's the crunch blow ability. And then you have the crunch charge, which increases the distance and pushes the enemy hero. This does take whatever you're, whatever you're like hitting with you. So if you were to push a hero, it'll go to the end of your punch. They'll come with you. So if you want to reposition someone, or if you want to push them into the tower from behind, you could easily do that, which is really nice. Really fun ability just to kind of carry people with you. Also, when like someone's in front of you, like a Narbash ulting or something, and you just interrupt it, or pull someone with you, or like you go behind a Sparrow and push her towards the your tower. It's really cool. But there you go. That's all the abilities. It's all the empowerment abilities. And like I said, the ultimate also pairs with it well. It will use less ability. The ultimate will stack that empowerment on the left. So if you ult, it does give you that overheat effect. Your ultimate is basically using the last ability you used. It doesn't have any other special effect on its own, like when you cast it. And the cooldown is just longer, a little longer than your crunch blow or your crunch charge. It basically is just a fourth skill that copies your last skill, which is really cool. I like that. Because your cooldown gets to get reduced when you punch as well. So you can just keep spamming basically 4 abilities. And it also, like I said, helps your empowerment. You'll basically be spamming your empowerment over and over again. Even with no CDR, I think I can upkeep this the entire time super easily. As long as I'm spamming the dash, which you probably don't want to do, but... Anyways, let's go... that's basically Crunch. Tips I have for him is, like I said, you're going to build tanky. Just try not to engage with your punch unless you need to. You won't be able to stick to your target if you just sit here and you'd be like most characters, because after that you don't have anything to close the gap. You want to try to walk to your target, and I also recommend engaging with your stun. The reason for that is just so you can get a wide arc when you're fighting a 2v1. That's it. That's the only reason. Also, being able to spam your E is really nice, and you're guaranteed to hit if the target does move a distance away from you, and then you can also chase with your punch. But like I said, try to engage with your stun and then hit your E and then hit the ult. If your team is around you, you want to engage the opposite way. You want to engage with your E, then you want to hit your stun, and then you can use your ult to get it back. Because your team is going to be around you, you're going to want them to get more value out of it. You are doing more damage spamming the double E than the double double stun. Just a heads up. So you don't have to, but you could also do a dash combo. You can do this. That is something you can do for just burst damage. So try not to dash at your target, but if your target is free or they use the movement ability, feel free to dash at them. The dash does a decent amount of damage, and then you could also just combo it and do like a wide arc or an uppercut if you want, either or. But yeah, like I said, heavy combo character. Honestly, you can just walk in and spam a bunch of buttons as long as you're not using your dash wrong, basically. You can't really go wrong with this character as long as you're building correctly. Now, like I said, attack speed. Well, I guess I'll show you his starter build just to kind of like give you an idea of why I wouldn't do this. So here I have actually, let's get more attack speed. So I have this item, right? And then let's get rid of these two. Let's get Spirit's Fang, and let's get crossbow. So I have 2.3 attack speed. This is the max attack speed you could possibly have. The reason I don't recommend this is because you now have no CDR, which is normally what's going to happen, right? And you're very vulnerable. You do a lot of damage, but your cooldowns, you have to punch a lot more, basically. Right? It's not like, and this is at the sacrifice of not having any defense too. So you're doing a lot more damage, obviously. I mean, you have a lot more power, but you're going to be auto-attacking a lot more, which might help with your mana conservation. But like I said, and you're still spamming abilities, of course, even with attack speed, but you're just autoing a lot more than you want to, and you have no defense. You do have a lot of health with this build, though, which is really nice. Now, attack speed, it might feel good on him sometimes, but like I said, also this item, as you can see, I'm still autoing twice. You're sacrificing a lot for getting something that's already happening in his kit. You should only auto like 2 or 3 times max as a full tank with no attack speed. And I'm going to show you that as well. Let me go max CDR here. Let me go to my tank build. This build kind of sucks. Hold on. All right, we're at 35%. It's fine. This is not the build that I'd recommend either. I think I have a different one on the site, but so with a full tank build, this is how much you're autoing. And then if you were to use E, you have 2 autos before you get it back consistently. You'll never have to auto twice before you have to use this ability again, but comboing with your other abilities, like I said, 2 times. That's why, like I said, you saw the attack speed thing. It's 2 to 3 autos for attack speed, full attack speed, because of the way the CDR works, but you're autoing twice and you're spamming your abilities anyways as a tank. You can imagine why it's super valuable to just be a full tank as Crunch as well. This also can help with your other abilities as well. You're always going to be spamming basically 2 autos between even these 3 abilities, even without your dash. You can see I'm pretty much never autoing more than once or twice in between abilities. 1, 2. So, like I said, full tank Crunch is definitely the way. You don't need to auto attack, like, at all. Like, it's 2-3 autos max in between your combos. That's why attack speed is a scam. Do not do attack speed. It's not worth. Full CDR is definitely better. Like I said, he is ability based anyways. And the way his mechanic works, I know it words it. You might think, oh man, basic attacks are better. No, they're not. They're not better than ability based. Full ability based, full tank feels really good. There are a couple of builds I'm going to recommend afterwards, but that's just kind of the showcase I wanted to give you for why I wouldn't do full CDR, or why I would do 4 CDR over attack speed. But yeah, like I said, you pretty much can just spam his abilities. It's so nice. It feels really, like, it's really fluid as well, because you get to kind of like, I feel like there isn't a lot of characters who can just kind of like sit there and throw out so many abilities at once and do that much damage as well, right? You get really rewarded for kind of like just being aggressive, being as aggressive and just pressing buttons. But like I said, you do chew through your mana pretty fast, which is why I like Ice Spirit Gloves, to give you at least a good amount more ability cast. He does have pretty short cooldown, or short like mana cost on his abilities, especially his E, which is really nice. But again, still going to be chewing through the mana because you're going to be spamming those abilities. But anyways, that's pretty much it for Crunch, right? Not too complicated of a character, definitely not Wukong or even Iggy level, to be honest. Like, Iggy takes a lot of finesse as well. Crunch, you could just run in, just start spamming abilities, just be aware of using your dash. You don't really even have to use your dash, to be quite honest. Just use your dash when you're trying to catch up to someone, or if you know you're not in the combo, because it does do damage and you know they don't have their dash up. But like I said, it's not really required. You can really just spam the other 2 abilities. But it does feel really good when you do get all 4 of those abilities off. But anyways, let's go into the build portion. That's pretty much Crunch in a nutshell, basically how it works. Every kind of unique thing he can do. Doesn't have any kind of special tech. He can't like just tank everything like towers and inhibitors or anything like that. Not like Iggy or like Wukong, but he is a formidable fighter in team fights, and he has a wide AoE attack, which makes him really good in 2v1s. All right, let's go to the build portion. Alrighty, so we are here with the build portion of the video. Now let's go up to the skill prioritization. For me, personally, I prioritize going for his swing, as I said, his Q. And then I go into his dash for escape. Every character, by the way, if you have any character, always go for the dash, unless you're in a situation where you need extra damage. But most of the time, go for your dash second, just to reposition. You never want to put yourself in a position where you hit level 2 and then you don't have an escape and you get collapsed on or anything, or you're getting focused more. You always want to have your dash. It's always more valuable early on, because a few autos are always going to do more than your abilities. So always get your dash second for every character, pretty much universally. But anyways, so you have your swing, you have the dash, you have the crunch blow for a third, and then this is your second prioritized skill, aside from your ultimate, of course. And then you also do the charge last, but you get charge second. So crunch swing, charge, blow, max blow second, max this first, of course, and then max the ult whenever you can. Going into the actual build, I have 3 builds here. All these builds are tanky builds. I played Hybrid Crunch. I'm not really a fan of Hybrid Crunch as much. He feels really good at first, but he falls off pretty hard late game. You definitely want to be tanky late game. Your team has to be good, of course, to be a tank. Obviously, if your team is bad, then you don't want to be like I had a rough game yesterday where I didn't have a carry. So no matter what I built, damage or, I'd build hybrid or tank, none of it worked because I didn't have carry. But I couldn't kill anyone as a tank because they had like 3 or 4 earth deers, and we also didn't have a carry. And then when I went hybrid, I died faster, so it felt really bad. So no matter what I did, it didn't feel good. But if you're in an actual team setting, you do want to be a tank because you're still dishing out a lot of damage. Now, as a full damage dealer, this character does a shit ton of damage, but he dies insanely fast. You definitely need to have defense. I know you guys want to say, oh, but burst crunch. Like, yeah, he does a lot of damage. I know. Trust me. Good luck surviving in those team fights. The carry, if you don't instantly kill them, will kill you in like 2 seconds. As a hybrid, you can survive a lot longer. So if you do really want to do hybrid crunch, it's viable. Not as viable as like Sereth or Zenna or anything, but it's still viable. Tank crunch is honestly feels better, almost the same. So if you really want, I'd suggest going full tank. This second build, if you really want to be a damage dealer, is probably the option. But anyway, let's go over these builds. First build, of course, Zymia's still not nerfed, still broken. Take off the magical defense, please, guys. Just for the AoE, you're going to be obviously melee range, so it's still the best tank item in the game. Then you got Pendant. If you want physical first, switch Pendant with anti-crit. Either or is fine, but I'd say Pendant if you want damage, because it also gives you a little bit of a burst and a slow on top of the Zymia's damage. But if you don't want to go Pendant second and you need anti-physical, then go Guardian Phylline. I think you'll be fine with Zymia's, but again, like I said, sometimes you have 2 carries. Usually the mid laner should be a problem, so this is really good anyways. But like I said, whatever the situation calls for. So you can switch these 2 if you want. Then you go anti-crit, of course. You're going to switch this with high end later, so you won't have this item. Now, what I do recommend is if you want to keep this high end after, instead of Ice Spirit Gloves, then you can go Zinx Claw Barrier, which you'll probably need because you need anti-heal or, you know, whatever. It's a good dual item. Now, if you want Ice Spirit Gloves still, and you still have a high end here, then put Ice Spirit Gloves after, or you put high end here. It's a tank build. Honestly, you can build whatever you want as a tank. I'm not even gonna lie. There is no like perfect tank build usually, because you as long as you have Zymia's and then high end armor, you're pretty much okay to build whatever you want, right? High end armor and Zymia's are just the 2 best tank items in the game by far. High end reducing all damage you take by like 12%. And then physical damage you take by 12%, and then Zymia's just does an absurd amount of damage and has dual defenses and a lot of health and CDR. These items are your 2 best tank items. You can build literally whatever you want. Now, I will recommend this is something you want to have. I like having extra mana on crunch. If you don't think you need the mana, don't build this item. But it also has attack speed decrease, and it gives you CDR and 70 defense, so it's an absurd amount. Obviously, Chainsaw is going to be a big detriment to you if you're just building straight defense, so you want health as well, which I have health on this, this, and this, and this, but you don't actually need to follow this build verbatim. Like I said, guys, it's not like carries that have like one set build and it's like go-to. Tanks have other options. Now, Artificial Gravity Inductor, I never really used this item, but looking at all the other items, I was like, you know what? If you are replacing high end with the anti-crit, you still want to hit 40%. If you do replace high end with this, you'll be at what, 30%? So you definitely need another cooldown item, which is why I chose this one. I just thought 70 more defense and 300 health is probably the best way to go. I never really use this active. I always forget if I have it. So again, if you don't want this item, you can replace it with any other physical cooldown item, or magical if magical is more of an issue, but most of the time it's going to be physical. This is plenty of magical defense, honestly. But yeah, that's the first build. Artificial Gravity Inductor, like I said, Zinx Claw for the damage negation, as well as the anti-heal. Ice Spirit Gloves for the mana, anti-crit for the rush, switch it with high end later, or keep it and then go high end somewhere else. You still need high end no matter what. Pendant at some point just for the burst, and then Zymia's. Now, this build is the hybrid build where you're going to use this in the jungle. If you want, with this build, you start with Spirit's Fang for the AoE. Having this item first makes you do an absurd amount of damage. As most warriors, this is like their core item. This item is really good on crunch starting off. You do a lot of damage with this item. With the extra burst on top of your ability spam, feels really good. Zymia's second, of course. Then you go into either anti-crit if you're trying to rush defense, or you switch Great Sword of the Hurricane. You switch it with the anti-crit just to get more damage online early. You get some shred as well for the tanks early, which feels really good. And you're jungling, so you're going to be also just dealing more damage in general. Really good item. It also gives you 50% CDR early, so like I said, really good item. So if you want to rush out of the jungle with less defense, that Great Sword of the Hurricane is the way to go. You also get defense for using this, just not as much as this one, but it also shreds defense, which is really good, so it helps you kill your target faster. So that's my recommendation for going these first 3-4 items. Switch Guardian of Hylian for this if you want more damage. And I know you guys probably all want to do more of a damage build, so switch Guardian of Hylian with Great Sword of the Hurricane if you want that, and then follow the rest of the build. Pendant, Guardian, and then Ice Spear Gloves. Same reason as here. You know, no difference. All these builds are going to be near full CDR. At least 35% is what you want on Crunch. So you definitely want that much. And like I said, attack speed, it really isn't necessary. So, and then this last build is just a physical rush. You go Zymia's, anti-crit, Ice Spirit Gloves, high end, Mulder Spray, and then Sweet Life. This is only if you have 2 carries in the game and the mid laner is just not that much of a problem, or even if they are a problem and it's not Gadget, probably your biggest threat. Or I guess a Gideon ult, whatever. You can just rush this build. You still get a little bit of magical, but obviously if they have nullification, it's going to go right through that. So this is only if you have dual carries. I know you guys see a lot of carry off lane, so if you have 2 carries in the game, this is probably the build you want to do for Crunch. Now, you could replace Ice Spear Gloves with high end early, but it does cost a little bit more, so it just depends on what your gold farm is at. I just recommend going Ice Spear Gloves third, just so you get the mana early, but especially if you're fighting all physical. Physical rush build, 310 physical here, 35% CDR, a lot of health, mana. Most of these builds have extra mana in it, which is really good. And then the starters, of course, green or Destroyer Stone for jungle, and then green for solo. That's the only starters you have. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Crunch's build. Not too complicated. I feel like this is going to be the shortest guide. I don't know. Like I said, he's really good. He has a lot of variety in team fights in terms of what he can do in terms of just damage, CC, and he has a lot of lockdown, or not a lockdown, sorry, he has a lot of interrupts, basically. He has a stun, he has a knock up, he has a push that takes you out of your ability, and he can repeat one of those things. He can repeat the stun if he really wants to. I mean, you can literally just, you could stun and then you can hit a knock up if you want to, which is just a lot of CC in general. It's just up to you. But yeah, this character is pretty good. He's really, really good. I want to say he's borderline broken. I do really enjoy this character though. And like I said, he's just a lot of fun to use. He feels like, again, out of a fighting game, you're literally just spamming abilities over and over again, trying to memorize the combo system. Feels really good. But yeah, these are the builds I recommend. If you guys want to excel with Crunch, definitely try these out. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of success with these builds. Like I said, these aren't, as the time of this patch, this is what we're working with. Your builds might be different later on, but this is what I'm working with for this patch. Do not take this as the Holy Bible. This will change in the future, most likely, hopefully. But yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be putting out another guide, hopefully soon, of Xena is my next target. Since a lot of people, she just got buffed and a lot of people know how to play her, and her buffs were pretty huge. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be, like I said, putting out more guides and videos and stuff of characters. We're gonna get Mako in a month as well. They said they're gonna prioritize fixes and optimization, so I'm assuming we're gonna see a character delay, but we are confirmed to be getting a update in late March for Mako. That was on the dev notes that they added after for the patch notes. We didn't get to read those during the time when I made the video. We are getting an update in late March, which should be Mako, unless they're delaying the character altogether. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure we're getting Mako late March. Hopefully we still get Greystone in April, because I love that character and I really want to see him. But we are getting Mako later this month. I'm assuming, like, the last week of March. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.